All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into League Bound. My name is Jake Schrantz. I'm a co-host of the League Bound podcast. And today I'm going to be bringing you my March Madness bracket picks. I think this is going to be a great year for March Madness. This is a great bracket. This is really exciting. A lot of good matchups here, especially in this first round. I think this is going to be a year full of upsets. So make sure you guys tune into this video and see where I think this bracket's going to go. So to start it off, we have Gonzaga and Georgia State. I think this is one of the easiest picks of the entire bracket. Obviously, Gonzaga will win this one of the best teams in the country. Chet Holmgren may be the best freshman in the country. Definitely going to move on there. Now we have Boise State and Memphis. Memphis coming off a tough loss in their tournament championship, but I think I like Memphis in this matchup. I think Penny Hardaway gets it done, proves that he's still worthy of being the Memphis coach. I think Jalen Duren shines in a tough game against Boise State, who was one of their best teams in their conference as well. And then here we go, Yukon, New Mexico State, and ladies and gentlemen, this might bite me later, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go New Mexico State over Yukon. I think that New Mexico State shocks the world, beats Yukon, and this is the first 5-12 upset that we see of March Madness. You know, that's the most common type of upset that we see, and I think they strike first. And then meeting New Mexico State, I am going to have Arkansas. If you've been following the League Bomb podcast at all this year, we've really liked Arkansas. Jaden Ivy, really good player at the guard position for them. Jalen Williams is one of the best forwards in the SEC. And then Stanley Amude, who was hitting a couple clutch threes for them in the SEC tournament. I think he kind of keeps that hot streak going and gets Arkansas past Vermont, who has played really well this season. Now moving on, we have Alabama versus our first four matchup between Rutgers and Notre Dame. Really good game there. I've gotten a chance to call a Rutgers game this year, and you know they have a lot of good players on that team. Obviously, Ron Harper Jr. Caleb McConnell was one of the best defenders in all of the Big Ten. He won Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. So I have Rutgers winning this game in a tough matchup against Notre Dame. Blake Wesley was one of the best freshmen in the country for Notre Dame this year. But then in a tough matchup against Alabama, who has been up and down a lot this year, I am going to pick Rutgers to beat Alabama. I think Caleb McConnell comes in and puts some good defense on Jaden Shackelford, their leading scorer. And I think that Ron Harper Jr. is enough star power to get the Scarlet Knights past Alabama. And then moving on, we have Texas Tech and Montana State. One of the more easy picks, I think. Texas Tech is playing really good basketball right now. Moving on, we have Michigan State and Davidson. Right here, I have another upset coming. Davidson gets it done over Michigan State. I think that they show out. They lost in their conference championship game today, but I think they get it done over Michigan State, who has been, again, one of the more up and down teams in the Big Ten this year. Even with the hot run they had in the Big Ten tournament, I think Davidson takes them out round one. And then finishing out this region, we have Duke and CSU Fullerton. Got Duke winning that one, obviously. Paolo Banchero, Mark Williams, Trevor Keels, Wendell Moore, AJ Griffin, so much talent on that Duke team. They are going to be a tough out in this tournament. Now moving on, we have Baylor and Norfolk State. Baylor, obviously seen as one of the, weaker one seeds in this tournament, but I think they definitely get it done over Norfolk State. Baylor's got a lot of talent, and Scott Drew is one of the best coaches in the entire nation, so Baylor's definitely going to get it done there. And then we have a really tough matchup, North Carolina and Marquette. Marquette got the freshman Justin Lewis. I've been high on him all year. But North Carolina, after getting outed in their ACC tournament in a tough matchup, this is a tough pick right here. Marquette, North Carolina. I've already picked a lot of upsets, so I'm going to have to go North Carolina in this one. Armando Bacot just being too much for Marquette to handle. Then we have St. Mary's versus Wyoming or Indiana. St. Mary's has been playing really well. They took down Gonzaga in their final game of the year on senior night. What a showing that was for them. But then Indiana comes into this Big Ten tournament and it just balls out. Trace Jackson-Davis proves why he's one of the best big men in all of the Big Ten. Wyoming has some great players on there. Graham Ike was one of the best freshmen in the country this year for them. That's going to be a really interesting first four matchup to watch. But I would say whoever comes out of this first four, I think St. Mary's gets it done. Although, if Indiana can come out, they were playing really hot. But I just don't trust the shooting in Indiana. I'm going to go St. Mary's in this one. Next, we have UCLA and Akron. Akron coming out of the MAC after winning that tournament. I'm going to go UCLA here. Wasn't super high on them coming into this tournament, but I think they definitely have the talent to take down Akron. Texas and Virginia Tech. This is probably going to be the most favorite upset pick in the entire tournament, in the first round at least. Virginia Tech wins the ACC tournament just behind some incredible play. Texas has been kind of, sliding under the radar recently. They didn't win the Big 12 tournament. And Virginia Tech is really hot right now. They're playing some great basketball. And this is probably going to be the most favorite upset pick of round one, I would say. Then moving on, we have Purdue and Yale. Purdue's going to get this one done. Yale just won the Ivy League championship, but Purdue just way too much talent and way too much athleticism for Yale to handle here. And then a really tough matchup here. I like both of these teams. KJ Williams and Murray State going up against San Francisco, who put up such a great fight against Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference tournament. I really said, I think on the podcast recently, that I would pick San Francisco in an upset, and I'm not sure if I want to go back on my word here because I love Murray State as a team, but I'm going to say KJ Williams puts up a good fight, but I think San Francisco just gets it done. Great team. I think they get the upset over a tough game against Murray State. Next, we have Kentucky and St. Peter's. Obviously going to go Kentucky. Oscar Tshiebwe, incredible player. Xavier Wheeler, one of the best point guards and finding his teammates in the country. Definitely going to go with Kentucky there. Now moving on to the South region, we have Arizona versus another play-in game. Definitely going to pick Arizona there. I think Arizona is one of the best teams in the country coming into this tournament. Then we have Seton Hall and TCU, another tough 8-9 matchup. I'm going to go TCU. One of the better teams in their conference this year. I think they get that tough 8-9 upset. And then here we go. I said it on the podcast. Jordan Jelly Walker, he's just different. I don't know what to say. He's just an elite shooter from the perimeter. Houston wins their conference tournament, and then boom, UAB just comes in. Jordan Walker goes off. He said it in the post-game celebration thing. They're not scared of anyone, and I think they proved that here with another 5-12 upset coming in the first round and a tough Houston loss. Wow, this bracket is turning out to be very interesting. Illinois and Chattanooga. Chattanooga was getting a lot of love on the Selection Sunday show, but I think Illinois is just better. I don't think they're going to be able to handle Kofi Cockburn, one of the best bigs in the nation. Colorado State now versus Michigan. Michigan, really controversial here. Not even a play first four, team. They just get in outright with the 11 seed. But I think Colorado State, even after some kind of tough losses in the regular season, David Roddy, one of the best players in the country this year, I think he gets it done over the Michigan Wolverines. Tennessee and Longwood. Tennessee, man, they are playing some excellent basketball right now. Kennedy Chandler is probably my number one point guard in this draft class right now. He's playing excellent basketball. Santiago Vescovi, Zakai Ziegler off the bench, and a sleeper that not a lot of people are talking about, Brandon Huntley Hatfield, is playing great basketball for them ever since the SEC tournament started, and I think he's going to continue that into this March Madness tournament. So Tennessee over Longwood there for sure. Ohio State and Loyola Chicago, really tough matchup here. Ohio State has been kind of cold recently. They lose to Penn State in the Big Ten tournament, lost to Nebraska at home, lost to Michigan. Loyola Chicago wins the Ohio Valley Conference. Really good matchup here, 7-10. Oh man, do I want to go with another upset? Ohio State, they lost in the first round last year to Oral Roberts, and they're going to do it again. Loyola Chicago, great team, young head coach, they get it done and show that they got some more magic in them. Villanova and Delaware here. I'm going to go Villanova. They won the Big East. Colin Gillespie is a great point guard for them. They move on past Delaware. Next, we have Kansas versus another first four game matchup. Definitely going to pick Kansas there. Kansas, one of the best teams in the country. Remy Martin starting to get back into this lineup and play well. Ochai Agbaji, one of the best players in general in the country, maybe National Player of the Year candidate. Next, we have San Diego State and Creighton. I'm going to go San Diego State there. I think they've been pretty hot recently. Iowa and Richmond. Iowa's got to take this one. One of the hottest teams in all the country. Win the Big Ten tournament over Purdue in a tough matchup. I think Iowa gets it done with Keegan Murray leading the way. Next, we have Providence and South Dakota State. Providence, they've been a team that's definitely been doubted at times this year. as one of the top seeds, but I think they get it done in the first round. LSU and Iowa State. LSU, they've been kind of in a sticky situation in the SEC. I think Tari Eason is one of the best freshmen in the country. He's been playing well as of late. Xavier Pinson was dealing with some injuries recently, but we'll see if they get him back. I think LSU gets this win over Iowa State and moves on to the round of 32. Next, we have Wisconsin and Colgate. And for this one, I'm going to go with Wisconsin. I think Johnny Davis gets it done for them, moves them on to face LSU here in the round of 32. And then we have USC and Miami. I'm going to go USC here. I love Isaiah Mobley, brother of Evan Mobley. He's a great power forward for them. I think Drew Peterson gets it done. Huge guard. I don't know if Miami's going to be able to match that. So I think Drew Peterson and USC, along with Isaiah Mobley, get it done in round 1. And then we have Auburn and Jacksonville State. Auburn, you got to play through Jabari Smith. He's maybe the best freshman in the country. We already said that about Chet Holmgren. But I think Jabari Smith definitely up there with him. Auburn gets it done and moves on. Moving back up here to the West region, we have Gonzaga and Memphis. Really interesting matchup here as, Chet Holmgren, Drew Timme, they get matched up with Jalen Duren, who's one of the most physical centers in the entire nation. But I'm just going to have to go with Gonzaga. They've got more talent than Memphis and more shooting. I think they win this one. New Mexico State and Arkansas. This is where the tough, upset that New Mexico State got over Yukon. I think this is where it ends as Arkansas, one of the best teams in the entire country, definitely one of the best in the SEC. I think they get it done over an upset New Mexico State. Next, we have Rutgers/Notre Dame versus Texas Tech. I think, again, this is where a tough upset comes to an end, as we have Texas Tech beating those teams. Then we have Duke and Davidson. Really interesting matchup here. Davidson can really shoot the ball, but I just don't know if they're going to have the size and talent to take on a team like Duke. Paolo Banchero, Mark Williams, that size is just going to be really, really tough to take on. So I got Duke moving on there. Next, we have Baylor and North Carolina. I'm going to go with Baylor here. They've kind of been getting slept on as the 1 seed. I think they have the talent. They've got the guard play. I don't think RJ Davis and Caleb Love are going to be able to, keep up with James Akinjo, Jeremy Sohan at times. I think Baylor gets it done. St. Mary's and UCLA. Really interesting matchup here. As UCLA, I said on the podcast, I'm not super high on this team. And St. Mary's has been playing great out of the West Coast Conference. But I think this time, or should I go the upset? Should I go St. Mary's over UCLA? Why not? Let's go St. Mary's to the Sweet 16. Let's see if it happens. Virginia Tech and Purdue, another really interesting matchup. Virginia Tech playing some great basketball right now. Hunter Couture had that monster performance against Duke in the ACC championship. We'll see if he can continue that. Keve Aluma has been playing great basketball for them, but Purdue has just so much size and talent. They've got Jaden Ivy on the wing to just blow by you, get to the rim with ease. But this is a really tough matchup, 11 versus 3 seed, and I think Purdue gets it done. I don't think that Virginia Tech will be able to handle the size, and I think this magical run from Virginia Tech ends in the round of 32, but a respectable run by them, no question. And then we have San Francisco and Kentucky. Kentucky's going to have to take this one over San Francisco. Great team, but, just, again, not having the size, not having the rebounding advantage against Kentucky is really going to hurt them. Next, we have Arizona and TCU. TCU, another great team, but Arizona is just playing so well as of late. Benedict Mathurin, one of the best players in the country. They've got, Christian Koloko inside playing great, some more size. They have Dalen Terry, who I think personally is one of the best point guard prospects we could see in this draft coming up. I definitely have him in my top 10 at this point. Triple-double threat at any time with that size and length. Arizona moving on. Then we have UAB and Jelly Jordan Walker facing off with Illinois here in the round of 32. And this is where, unfortunately, I think that UAB is going to get stopped. Just not nearly having enough size and physicality inside to take on Kofi Coburn. He is just going to draw fouls all day on UAB and, foul them out, get them in foul trouble, and just eat inside against them. Next, we have Tennessee and Colorado State. We have Kennedy Chandler and crew going up against David Roddy. Another great matchup here in the round of 32. But I got Tennessee moving on. I think they're a great team. Definitely have the potential to win it all. We'll see how this bracket shapes out, though. Next, we have Villanova and Loyola Chicago. Two great teams here again, but I'm going to have to go with Villanova. Next, we have Kansas and San Diego State. Gonna have to go Kansas here. Kansas is a phenomenal team. Ochai Agbaji, just a great scorer, one of the best in the country. I think he gets it done for them. Iowa and Providence here with a 4-5 matchup. And I'm going to go with Iowa. I think they continue this hot streak. They're getting hot at the right time of the year. Take down Providence, who, as I said earlier, was one of the more doubted top-ranked teams in the nation. LSU and Wisconsin, really interesting matchup here. As, two teams who kind of have been having a rough season at times. Johnny Davis has had some struggling games. We saw them lose in the Big Ten tournament in a tough way. He did not perform well in that game. And LSU also went out pretty early in their tournament. So, interesting matchup here with a 3-6, but I think Johnny Davis and company get the job done over an LSU team. Then we have USC and Auburn. This is an interesting game because Isaiah Mobley probably going to draw the matchup of Jabari Smith, but then who's going to guard Drew Peterson from Auburn? Because, and even with Auburn, they have Walker Kessler too, who I really like. So that might be who they stick Mobley on. So this is a great matchup, but I'm going to go, this is a tough one. I'm going to go Auburn. I think Jabari Smith just puts on the green light, just starts shooting the ball like crazy, gets them to the Sweet 16 in a tough matchup. This USC and Auburn game, if it happens, this might be one of the best games of the entire tournament. Moving on now to the Sweet 16, we have Gonzaga and Arkansas, one of the most fun matchups that we haven't seen so far this year. Chet Holmgren, Andrew Nembhard, Drew Timme going up against J.D. Note, Jalen Williams. Great teams here, two great teams, but I think that Gonzaga gets it done. Arkansas just not going to be able to get it done over one of the best teams in the country. Then we have Duke and Texas Tech. Texas Tech, really good defensive team. They got some great shooters, and Duke is really talented as well. I've said in the past that Duke might be my favorite to go all the way, but unfortunately, they're not playing well as of late, and I think Texas Tech has, and they're going to out Duke in the Sweet 16 and move on to face Gonzaga. Next, we have Baylor and St. Mary's. This is a tough matchup as well. St. Mary's has been a great team all year. Logan Johnson has been great for them. But I think that Scott Drew, reigning national champions, you got to respect it. I think Scott Drew gets it done and sends them to the Elite Eight. And then we have another really fun matchup, Purdue and Kentucky. We got Zach Edey going up against Oscar Tshiebwe, two great bigs going at it. We got Tai Tai Washington versus Jaden Ivy, two great guards going at it. Xavier Wheeler is going to be dishing the ball around. Sasha Stefanovic going to try to be launching some threes up there. And I'm going to go with Kentucky over Purdue in this one. I think that Purdue has kind of been slowed up recently. Or actually, should I go Kentucky? Purdue's pretty good, man. Purdue is pretty good. This is tough. I'm going to go with Kentucky. I think that Kellen Grady will finally get back to what we've seen him do recently. Or not recently, earlier in the season. He's a great shooter for them. And I'm going to say Kentucky moves on. So we have a 1-3 matchup and a 1-2 in the Elite Eight. Moving on here, we have Arizona and Illinois. Another really good matchup inside. We have Christian Koloko and company going up against Kofi Coburn. But here, Illinois is about to get bounced because Benedict Mathurin will have nobody to guard him on Illinois. Nobody good enough, at least. And I think he goes off. Him and Dalen Terry show out again. Then we have Tennessee and Villanova. Really good matchups here in the Sweet 16, but Tennessee is playing great basketball right now. Huntley Hatfield, Kennedy Chandler, Zakai Ziegler, Vescovi, John Fulkerson even showed up in their conference tournament championship game today. Had a really nice dunk at the end. And I think Tennessee, keeps riding this wave, moving on to the Elite Eight. Then back down here in the Midwest region, Kansas and Iowa. Really good matchup here again. This bracket has turned out to be really fun. But right here, I'm going to have Kansas taking down Iowa. Really nice run from Iowa as a 5 seed. But I think Kansas just gets it done. And then Auburn and Wisconsin. This is a really tough one because both teams have had just some questionable losses this year in their respective conferences. But man, Auburn is a team I could definitely see I have them here in the Sweet 16, possibly moving on to the Elite Eight, but I wouldn't even be surprised if they lose in the round of 32. So I'm not sure if I want to push Auburn this far. But I also have a similar feeling with Wisconsin because when Johnny Davis doesn't show up for them, they usually lose. So if we get a game here in this tournament where he kind of struggles or they kind of just completely defensively game plan to just shut him down, Wisconsin might get shut down with it. So this is a risky play by me to have Auburn and Wisconsin in the Sweet 16. But I'm going to go with Auburn, Brand. I'm a believer in Jabari Smith, Walker Kessler. That duo, I think, will be just enough to get them moving on to the Elite Eight. And then we have Gonzaga and Texas Tech in a really, really tough matchup here. I'm going to go with, Texas Tech is great on defense. Gonzaga, great on offense. But I'm not sure who is going to be able to match up with Chet Holmgren, just that talent level, man. But this is tough because I don't know how many 1 seeds I want to have going to the Final Four. So I'm going to have to go with Gonzaga, man. They're just so talented, so well produced with Chet Holmgren on the floor. He's just a difference maker on the defensive end in the paint. He just changes any shot you try to take over him. He is really, really good. And then we have Baylor and Kentucky down here. I'm going to go with Kentucky. I think Baylor's run as the 1 seed comes to an end here, and Kentucky gets the job done, moving on to face Gonzaga in a really interesting matchup. And then up at the top in the South region, we have Arizona and Tennessee, which this might be the best game in all of the March Madness tournament. Arizona with Benedict Mather and Christian Coloco, as I've said. This is a really good shooting team, really good offensive and defensive team. And Tennessee is that as well. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country over the past few months or so. And this is really, really tough to pick because both teams, their strengths are so similar. And Arizona being the 1 seed, Tennessee is the 3 seed. A lot of people, even at ESPN, were thinking that Tennessee should have been bumped up to the 2 seed. Kentucky and Auburn getting those 2 seeds over the conference champions in the tournament, Tennessee. But in this one, I'm just going to have to go with Arizona. Another 1 seed makes it to the Final Four. And I think that Arizona is very talented this year and definitely has potential to go all the way. Moving on, we have Kansas and Auburn. Auburn has made a nice run as the 2 seed that a lot of people may not have, expected. They've kind of been more on the downslope late in this season, but I'm a believer in Jabari Smith. And Kansas here getting this matchup with Auburn, I think this is a favorable matchup for the Jayhawks. They've got some veteran players like Ochai Agbaji. McCormick is great. I think he'll be able to match up with Walker Kessler pretty well. And then Remy Martin in that backcourt. Christian Brown has been great for them this year. Mitch Lightfoot even started to show out in the Big 12 tournament. So I think Kansas gets it done over the Auburn Tigers. So now in the Final Four, we have Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona, and Kansas. 3 1 seeds, 1 2 seed. So we had a lot of upsets in these early rounds, but, we get to this ending here, and a lot of the best teams throughout the year are here in the Final Four. So in our first matchup of Gonzaga and Kentucky, I'm going to go with Gonzaga. I think, but Kentucky's really physical inside. Kentucky is really physical inside, and I don't know if Drew Timme is going to be able to match up well with Oscar Tshiebwe, because I think this is a great matchup. You have Andrew Nebhard, Hunter Salas even at times, going up against Xavier Wheeler, Tai Tai Washington, Kellen Grady. Great backcourt matchup as well. And man, these Final Four games are just really, really tough to pick, especially with both teams. Gonzaga hasn't played in almost a week now, so who knows how they're going to come out. Are they going to come out flat? Are they going to come out on fire? Who knows? Kentucky just lost in the SEC tournament to Tennessee, and they competed in that game for sure, but Tennessee was just the better team that day. But I don't know. Coach Cal, he's been here before. He's definitely been here before. One of the best coaches in all of college basketball. So I have Kentucky over Gonzaga in an upset that not a lot of people may have expected. And then we have Arizona and Kansas, another fantastic matchup. And I'm going to go with Arizona. I think Benedict Mathurin, one of the best players in the entire country, great shooter. I think Arizona's defense is able to lock up Ochai Agbaji just enough to get out a tough win in a 1-versus-1 matchup. And then it all comes down to Arizona and Kentucky. What a crazy bracket this has been. We have the Pac-12 champions in Arizona in the tournament versus the SEC losing in the semis, Kentucky Wildcats. So I think in this one, Oscar Tshiebwe gets matched up with Coloco. They also have another big guy. I got to look up his name real quick. Yeah, that's right. They have Tubelis. They have Coloco. They have Omar Ballo. Sorry if I butchered that name, but he played really, really well in their finals game. And I think that's enough size inside to kind of compete with Tshiebwe. They've got a lot of bodies to throw at him and foul him. Tshiebwe is the best rebounder in the country, but they have the size and length to just send some shots back if, guards like Washington and Xavier Wheeler, even, especially Xavier, with how undersized he is. If any of those guys come near the paint, that shot is going to get rejected. And I think Mathurin and Terry are enough to slow the ball down on offense, get some good shots up, and I think Arizona gets it done and wins the national championship and has one of their best seasons in a long, long time. I believe the last time they were ranked number 1 was with DeAndre Ayton, and they went out in the tournament to Buffalo in a surprise upset. But I think now they redeem themselves as the 1 seed, get the job done, and win the national championship. And let's just say the score is 73, and I think Kentucky is respectable. I'll give Kentucky 65. 73-65. We'll enter into these little things here. But yeah, we have Arizona taking down the Kentucky Wildcats in the national championship game. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you either take my picks or, comment down below if you think I'm an idiot for picking all these upsets. I'm an idiot for taking whoever. But leave your thoughts in the comments below. I think we're in for a great March Madness tournament. And yeah, make sure you guys tune in. We'll have some podcast episodes going over everything that's happened in this March Madness tournament. I think we'll have some more videos coming out soon. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah.